Thank you for staying with us. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has called on state governors that pay pension to former governors to emulate their Abia State counterpart Alex Otti and stop paying. He described payment of pension to former state governors and their deputies as outrageous. Obasanjo said this on Friday when he paid Governor Alex Otti a visit at his country home in Abia State, insisting that the pension of former governors was no more than, quote, a daylight robbery. He noted that they should instead focus on infrastructure in their various states. Joining us in the studio is the convener Campaign for Dignity and Governance, Razak Olukoba. Razak, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
It's good to have you join us.
It's a pleasure.
Now, let's look into this matter. This conversation has been in the front burner, and this is not the first time that we're hearing, not just the public or people like Olusegun Obasanjo talking about this, but a lot of persons have been speaking about the need to put an end to the payment of pensions to governors and ex-governors and their deputies, and especially those who now go back to becoming ministers and even senators, that there's no need for them to be receiving these monies. Recently, that was last year, we saw Otumba Gbenga Daniel saying that he did not want these pensions and he just wants to focus on what he's getting now. But from your perspective, what would it take to really put an end to this? And are you even in support of putting an end to it?
Well, thank you very much. We have to first understand why that's the structure that finances for governors is to create a fallback for governors when they leave office, and to take the attention away from thinking of how will I continue to live my life after office. That was what they had in mind, even for presidents. And the model in other countries is also designed in another way. But the way our own is designed will definitely be creating crisis day in, day out. The suggestion that is coming from Obasanjo is a good one. In fact, it should also be extended to former presidents who are also beneficiaries of such thing. What they do, that is a popular standard, is that they create some assignments for previous leaders. There's no administration that does not have its own area of strength. When issues like that come up, they assign the duty to them and they are handsomely paid. For instance, if you look at Jonathan,
yes,
there's what is called democratic consolidation. A degree older in producer may not understand that, but from MSc level, you'll be able to explain and expatiate what is consolidation of democracy. It's not essentially to bring democracy on board. It's also for a party to win power, for an opposition to take over power, for incumbent to also come back to power again. That is consolidation. It's a layer of transfer of power. For instance, in West Africa, it's only Ghana that has been able to consolidate democracy properly. Our own remains the final stage. When Ashwaju spent 8 years, maybe someone another came to spend 8 years, after about 20 something years, opposition now came to power. That's a complete process. The reason why Jonathan kept going around the world is because it's a symbol that has promoted a layer of consolidation by accepting defeat. That's a level of consolidation. For Buhari's government, we know that he embraced previous policies of other of government, BVN, treasury single account. When issues like that have been discussed, Buhari will bring on board that he's an expert in ensuring that there's continuity in governance. We don't know what the president might be identified with, and that's why all the ministers that are working on them, he has to sign a note of warning to them on things they are embarking on, cancelling approval that will get granted by previous. So what they do is that they assign roles. It's not as if the budget, this is the salary for previous president, salary for. I'm in support of President Olusegun Obasanjo, former president, on this note. And it's time for public officers to also demonstrate that the ordeal Nigerians are passing through is also their turn to also demonstrate that. President just cancelled trips of for 3 months. In fact, you should go beyond that. If you go to embassies now, you will see that all the public, they are applying for a diplomatic passport, which has become the pattern All those largesse should be cancelled for now. It is those things that will inspire Nigerians to peacefully and happily go through the pain we say they are going to go through that. Of course, the session period is 2 years. When they see government officials also talking in this manner, they will know that the standard is now universal. We're also passing through it. But when you see that former governors are getting cars and getting houses, for instance, if you look at Saraki abused his own. When he left office, the law in Kwara says that you'll be given a house in Kwara and in Abuja, I think, and you'll be paying some million. Saraki did not accept the house. He said they should monetize it. They monetized it, only for the government to give the same house back to him as a birthday gift again. And that's an abuse. Yes. And that is what the picture people constantly have in mind. When you say that you must go through some pain, people who will not be willing to go through any pain. What if so it's a lie to say that some of those unnecessary issues has to go. We can design another model because it's important for people who hold sensitive public office to have an assurance that you are not going to regret being a good governor. You are not going to regret being a good president. It's also important to factor something that looks like and that's engaging them and engaging them. That's why it's also important.
And that's where I'm going. Maybe the issue of pension after serving as a governor, lawmaker, or president, probably where it came from, because when you look at how much did he receive as salary, and after serving, service to the nation, definitely they should, have some things to fall back, to. Why is it that we don't see it as they've actually served the nation, and maybe they were diligent and devoid of any corrupt practices? That is the reason why we want to compensate them for being good persons in office. Why don't we look at it from
as a businessman, if I'm paying someone a salary, there must be something to show for it. People often say that even those 8 years, we didn't see anything to show for it. So why will he be paying for the rest of his life? That's the argument.
What do you mean, anything to show for it?
That's his administration. Okay. The administration of a particular government. So we have nothing to show for it. He didn't do well. That's the argument of Labour. Labour said that you will serve for 8 years. Someone who served for 35 years, we have issue paying him his pension. You just serve for 8 years and you are getting millions every month. So, and it's a very, very sound argument. So, in order to do that...
So is it about the money that they are paying them, or do you feel like the money is too much? Maybe they should just reduce it to
Can we continue to entertain these kinds of payments?
We can't continue. That's why I said there must be service they render for such. For civil servants, they pay maybe before, while they were in service, they pay tax, they do all sorts of things. They have, and more so, they are hold. We should take care of the old. That's the reason behind pension. That they are hold. Our hold should not be, old people should not be left uncatered for. That is the highest we don't behind the pension. But for governor, we will say active. You still be paying salary. So in order to do that, Clinton wrote so many books. And in a way, American government played a role in that. They made sure the book says, Trump wrote books. Obama wrote books. So it should be designed in such a manner that you continue to render, you continue to be relevant. Jonathan is not in Nigeria now. He has gone to
Senegal.
Yeah. So he will be paid for that. The body responsible for taking me will be paid for that. There's a way it's factored. So it is better to establish that kind of model than saying that you get 2 brand new cars every 4 years.
Perhaps maybe I should give some details of some of the things that they receive. For instance, Kwara State now, it is said that the governor and deputy governor, for instance, provides well-furnished duplex for the former governor, whereas Lagos says residential house, and then Kwara specifies the qualification of personnel staff, 2 officers not below the rank of chief administrative officer, and 2 personnel secretaries not below the rank of grade level 10, who shall be selected by the former governor and paid by the government. You can imagine. And then we have other annual basic salary will be 100% of annual basic salaries of the incumbent governor and deputy. Meanwhile, you are not in service. Well-furnished 5-bedroom duplex for governor and well-furnished 4-bedroom for the deputy. Transport 2 cars and 1 pilot car every 3 years for ex-governor. 1 car and 1 pilot car every 3 years for the deputy. Then furniture, we have 300% of annual basic salary every 4 years. House maintenance, 10% of annual basic salary. Domestic staff, this I believe can be handled by the person. These other ones are...
This is a ridiculous way of...
compensating someone for his service to the people.
You see, there's also a fear that the policy you embarked on at times might create so many enemies for you. And in such a country where we have 250 million people to preside over, each state that has 10 million, there must be a short of security for you. But what the rest of the world do is not like this. If you go to Down Street, that's why when they say prune down the security aid of Mr. President, don't risk his life. That was what Muritala. We are in a country where certain has not been sorted out. London City has about 500,000 cameras. So before you go to Down Street, you have been profiled. If you are carrying a briefcase, they know what is that briefcase. So if you get to the front of the Prime Minister, they know you are not harmless. So you can't ask our president to go about the way the Prime Minister of Britain is going now, because they have factored a lot of security into their society. We've not gotten to that point in Nigeria. So, and that was what they had in mind at times when they say that we want to secure the life of our governors and the president. If you want
can't we channel these monies into building that kind of structure?
That's what I'm saying, that if you want that kind of society, we have to build it.
Yeah.
And that is why all these spendings, if you are talking about Kano, Rivers, and Lagos, of course, can back on, but it's still like Kwara, that is still battling with payment of salary. There's a road that there's a city, there's a town in Kwara that the rice they make there quarterly can feed the whole of West Africa. The road to that place is bad. And we have a governor who is spending 40 billion naira to construct a bridge in the city where there's no traffic, to renovate an hotel for 17 billion, an hotel that does not have economic value. So this kind of priority is because there's free money from Abuja. The moment you can't go to anywhere in the world where the financial model is designed in such a way that the state generates money for itself, the citizen will not allow that. If I pay tax in Kwara, if it is tax payers from Kwara people that the governor of Kwara is using, I will not accept it. But I kept quiet because I know one Nigeria data money is coming every month. Their all money is coming for all to be shared. That's why I kept quiet. But the moment you reverse the trend, where even creation of local government and so many things that states are asking for from the federal government, it's because there's free money from Abuja. And that's what our constant appeal to the president, that don't bother yourself with solving all this problem your own. Only you will be seen to all this. Devolve power. Reverse the trend. Let state cater for themselves. That should be the focus of Mr. President now. As long as we don't do that, issues like this will keep cropping up. And in any case, it's important also to also consider that some, except if you are saying that we won't be thinking in that direction. The danger is that people will work out fall back for themselves. And that's what we don't want. We want a governor that will come and serve and live and will be proud
deliver
of him.
on the dividends of democracy.
I'll be proud of him.
Yeah.
But that's a state that has the capacity. If you have the capacity, you can do so. So for me, for now, maybe it has to be suspended. There are so many things on ground that we need to do, particularly for Nigerians to understand that, okay, you are also going through, you are pruning down a lot of things. The president has demonstrated that. And the state governor has come out to say that I'm not doing this. All governors should call past governors and tell them that at this juncture,
but they too will become past governors at some point. Do you think they want to do this, knowing that they want to benefit? That's one person who feels that, you know what, I need to do this in the interest of perhaps my people, and he's not looking at himself, not having selfish interest. But then others will want to consider, you know what, I would be an ex-governor at some point. I do not know if I will even get to the Senate or become a minister at some point. So what do I fall back to?
Either I will like it or not, this type of decision are part of the decision that we have to take. And for all the governors to create popularity in the mind of these people, it's a thing that they have to consider. Kwara State and states like Jigawa, Niger don't have the capacity to do this kind of thing. It has to go. It must go. And either we like it or not, that is coming from President, it's a good thing. And that is why I expect that he will also advise the president that even for past presidents, it must also go. So the focus is not whether we want one governor to enjoy himself while we leave office. The focus is the people. And that must be a constant reminder. If you are presiding over the fate of over 10 million people, your own life is not much important than the life of any other citizen. So other areas that we think that will bring benefit to Nigeria, we must also look at it. We have to pull down the convoy of ministers, pull down the government. Appointments should be pulled down. In fact, what the president has done with margin of agencies and ministries is a good thing, because if you look at, for instance, the Minister of Agriculture, look at all the agencies under agriculture, and from the budget of agriculture, you are going to give some to the Committee on Agriculture on Senate Committee on House of Rep. Then 36 Commission of Education will take their budget to Abuja on agriculture. There will be House of Assembly on agriculture. So those are loopholes that we are trying to block. So the pain is going to spread and is going to touch everybody. So this is coming to the governor. That's and right. They must accept that that's our own portion of pain that you have to pass through if you must get there. It's an order. There's right. No policy in place that anybody is coming on board, which is what I've always said. Let the labor come and tell us, let opposition come and tell us that this is a policy that if we implement in 3 months, our pain will disappear. There's no such pain. And all policy is experimental. And to that extent, there's a need for all of us. Are you not going through this pain, Veronica? You are passing through it. I have running battle every day with my wife on fuel money, on money to feed, and so many things. So all of us are passing through it. So that's their own cup of tea too. They must drink it. So serve them. So they have to take it.
So they have a president talking about Binga Daniel and Dakwambo, who actually said that they don't want to receive a pension going forward. But all of these states, several states pay their governors, their ex-governors or past governors, this pension. But then the incumbent governors may not be able to do this by fiat. Definitely, they have to go through the state assemblies for them to do that. And some of these lawmakers, too, are also receiving pensions. Do you feel that this particular policy or this policy can actually fly or see the light?
There was even a court ruling at some point in 2019, I think.
By Serap took the government to court, and I think maybe there was a judgment to that effect. But it's a matter that has to be decided by a state. Such the jurisdiction is not, the court can't decide such. Parliament ruled on certain things that this is what I want for my state. It's actually difficult for a court to say that you can release or you cannot increase the salary of your staff. So I will come back to what you have said, that this is a time all of us must demonstrate that we want this thing to go. There's none of us that must not be willing to demonstrate. So for the governors too, we are recording everything that we are doing now. The role all of us play. We are going to record it. So every governor that took part in this decision, we are going to document his name. And it's going to be part of the great people who are going to record when Nigeria eventually becomes great. So it's a direction you have to look at. No governor that says that he can't do it, won't do anything about him. But it is good for us to do that and do more things. Not only that, there must be more things that we must do to show that we want this pain to go as soon as possible, and that any pain we have to go through is a collective thing. For Parliament, I don't think Parliament will have issues with that, because the beneficiary is saying that I don't want to benefit from this again. So what's the problem of the Parliament with that? Except if they're also thinking that one day I'll become the governor of that state. Except if they're thinking that direction, that's what they will be having issue with that. But for Parliament, no Parliament, it's funny the way the rest of the world look at us, that why are you running your country like this? And that was what came to the submission British government had one time, that if you run Britain the way you run Nigeria, a day will come when we will come and do bend down boutique for Britain, that who wants to buy Britain? Because there will be no money to run it. And I've said it that if the resources of the country is spent judiciously to take care of us, roads, education, security, we are not rich. Our land mass is small compared to 250 million people. Less than 1 million square kilometer, that is what we have. We have very small land. So we have to be prudent in everything we do. And here is a man who we have seen from his interview that understand this terrain very well. All we need to do is what Obasanjo is doing. We need more suggestions like former president like Obasanjo too. And at the moment we have about 10 former president of Edin. That's money. if you have to say that we are not paying the president, that's money. It's as an area where that one can also cover afterwards. And you know, minority plus minority becomes majority. This is what becomes big money. So at this juncture, we need the governors to do that. And we need the president to also do more beyond the 3-month travel ban. We need to do more things. We need the guys in government to demonstrate. What I have a reservation for is we have to be careful in putting down the security aid of Mr. President. That's a danger. All the people that goes about with the president as a role they play, the military, and as long as we have this kind of responsibility for the president, he will continue to go about with that number of. I've seen Buhari say entourage 3 or 4 or 5 times coming to Lagos, and I know how he moves. I know how he moves, and at the moment, that's how it's going to remain. So we have to come up with more suggestions to the government on what we have to do away with. We have been running Nigeria in this manner, and it has to stop. If you become a governor, you have to what we are doing before you become a governor. So there's nothing wrong if you go back to the work you were doing before. Governor. And that's the most persuasion that we must be giving to everybody that's coming to public office, that it's not a retirement thing. You leave as a governor, you become a senator. You leave. But
some moment they become a governor, they don't want to do any other thing other than being in politics. You know, perpetually. They've tasted power. Yeah, to perpetuate themselves in politics.
If you had not interjected our democracy in 1966, we will have overcome all this. We will have understand what to do with power. INEC should be doing this work, training public office holder, prepare your mind how to manage loss, prepare your mind how to manage victory in such a way that even if you leave power, you should still be productive. The decision that after becoming the governor, except if I want to become the president or the senator, I don't do any other thing again, is as a result of the inability of the institution not to prepare the mind of whoever that wants to become the governor, that there's a life after public office. And that is what you are beginning to understand gradually.
Is it the institution that is supposed to remind the person that there's a life afterwards? Or the person should even know that, based on past experiences, that there is a life outside of power at the end of the day, and how whatever you do within that period would speak for you. Posterity will always speak.
You are right. But it is part of, when you look at the political class, the attitude of the political class, there are certain things that they don't want to accept. Part of it is that they don't want to accept a loss. It is an institution that is responsible for conducting election that must come up with constant seminars, training, to say that what you are going into, you are not going into it to win an election. You are going into to serve the people. And if the people feel that your program is way far less important than the program of opposition, you have to accept it. And how to move on with that is to say things that will help the person in power. The release of rescue of 137 school girls, that's what we expect Obi to be saying. He said things that were encouraging. I think also spoke. So those are things we learned from after some time, that understanding what role all of us must play in all of it. In fact, including the people. You know, I said consolidation. There's a particular feeling that a nation feels if it is incumbent that is in government. When a nation comes on board again, there's also a different feeling, that the expectation of the people that, okay, you have understand the excesses of the previous government. What do you want to offer? Now, if the previous incumbent came back to power again, there's also a new feeling that certain excuse cannot be acceptable from you. And that is what is called consolidation. So democracy in Nigeria is evolving gradually. All of us now begin to understand that we have a role to play. It's not about only the guys in government. It's only when you are there that you have something to do. So for the suggestion coming from Obasanjo, which is with the main subject of discussion, let us create a support, let us create a base and expand that, turn into an agitation that not
agitation?
Only, of course, that it must stop. It has to stop. We are not opposed. Nigerians are not opposed to creating responsibility for past presidents. We are not opposed to creating assignments, roles for previous governors. They must be willing. The incumbent must also be willing. If you look at the programs put in place by Sanwo-Olu, it's either you see Ambode or you see Fasolade. That's the kind of picture that is expected in the democracy that is involving and that's consolidating. So we must turn it to a thing that must be acceptable to governors. We want more suggestions too.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, it is difficult for Nigerians to understand why they have to pass through any pain. If you don't do that.
But all the same, I'm not sure whether you advocated, because by the time someone leaves office, you know, as a governor, when you were in office, when you were in power, you had your own security details, you don't move alone and all of that. By the time you are out of office, should we, because we are not meant, you are advocating that we don't pay them pension, should we make them, you know, vulnerable? Is there no way we can make them, you know, be safe? Because others, yeah, when I say vulnerable, when you know, when you were in office, you could have probably done some things which was right decision, but then some people didn't like it and they might want to, you know, get back at you when you leave the office. So shouldn't we still maintain some sort of, you know, security details that we give them while in office?
That is why we should be in a hurry to get to the society all of us wished for. We have less than 200,000 police in Nigeria as you and I speak. 1/3 of them are following VIPs around. They need that police. VIPs, Dangote will need police. 1/3 is doing administrative work. It's only the remaining 1/3 that is securing the life of 250 million Nigerians. It's grossly inadequate, and that's why you see armies complementing the role of the police. That's why they went to Okuma and all these places. If you want to acquire that kind of society, there's need to create numerous layers of security. If there are state police, every state government will take care of its own former governors. It will be the federal police that will be doing that. And every state will design a model that how to secure past governors. But with this structure, everything is just, it's a confusion. The structure in place is a confusion. Yeah. Because we recognize the importance of living their life peacefully after office, after having taken a sensitive decision to make the country and the state better. And the danger of people that may come after them after office, we recognize that. And that is why we have to quickly hasten our pace towards putting a society that will secure their life. Because at this moment, what you can do is the model on ground now. Give them police, give them SSA, which is meant to be performing another role. So, but by the time you have your own state apparatus in place, you won't have a fear. If you go to France, you see the president of France working on the street. Yeah. It's secured.
No, even with the security he had, he received slap like about 2 times, and the person who slapped him, can get is slap. The person who slapped him could have done something worse.
No, the most he can do is to slap him.
Because
he can't have metal,
of the security presence around him.
He can't have any of that thing to hurt him. Because France is
How about blowing him?
And that's the most he can get. That's the most he can get. So he's secured. The area is secured. There are so many that they put in place before you get close to him. They know that the most you can do is to slap your president. That's the only most you can do. You can pelt him with
or you throw your
shoes. So that's the most you can do. So if you want to have that kind of society, you should remember that there's something that is in place. The guy could have done something worse. So, and that's why there's a need to also work out a model, isn't it, to get to that point, so that we won't be having this kind of argument with
the president had a conversation with the state governors on the matter of state police, and according to last week, we were talking about the National Economic Council saying that out of 36 states, only 20 or 16 states had delivered their report on state police, and that 20 were left to do that. We do not know the content of those 16. That
in America, all states had police. In Canada, not all the states. So any state government that doesn't
I'm headed somewhere.
Okay.
It's about our pace towards because even the secretary of the National Economic Council was saying that he is not happy at how the response of even the state governors towards this matter of they're submitting a report, so perhaps they can know the direction to take at the end of the day to addressing this matter. The subnationals, and they taking responsibility of some things that they should deliver on, especially on the dividends of democracy, is becoming some sort of concern, especially their response to issues like this.
So these are some of the things that you don't agree with me when I say it, that it's a shared responsibility. What I expect from all the states, the citizens of each state now, is to be on the neck of their governors. Now, I was part of a declaration of Amatekun. Only 2 states that were so receptive to us, Lagos had a model in place. We give it to them. And Ondo, and we were not paid. We spent personal resources traveling around Yoruba land with experts in mapping out the best strategy to deploy, to secure. But they were not willing. So any state that is not willing to have its own state police can opt out. But its people must hold them responsible if anything happens to. Because looking at all the states that witness all these challenges, like 500 people will come into a community of 2 million and hold them to ransom. If there's a law that empowers local government to have their own, it's not going to be possible. In Asaba, just 3 days back, at a place where palliative were supposed to be shared, government came there. Despite them, they chatted with a power bike, rice, broad daylight. It took them hours before they completed the operation, but nobody could stop them. You can't blame the Nigerian police because that axis is axis where they have so many challenges at their hand, and the army had their own challenge in data. The way to complement the work of federal police and the army is for state to also come up with something. So for state, you must investigate them.
Out of
the
20
intention
states.
For being reluctant to brace up with this idea. And that's why the people of that state, what are they looking at? Why will you allow your governor to turn your state to battleground? Why will you turn your state to a place where criminals can come in and come out, and the governors are not doing anything about it, and people are keeping quiet? Sorry,
Sir Bolton, one of the reasons why at least 1 out of the 20 states that didn't submit the report, Governor Abdullah Sule said that he is not against state policing, but his fear is that how would they be able to fund the state police? Because already the police that they have and some other security machinery that they have on ground, that they are struggling to fund them, also pay workers' salary and all of that. So how possible or how easy would they find it in paying or in funding state police? That's one of his own arguments against it.
I know one issue will drag another issue along, and we will eventually come to the table to discuss the best political model we are going to design for Nigeria. Any state that can fend for the safe, the security, it's high time we start encouraging them to match with another state. It's time to say that.
So effectively reduce it from 36 states?
Yes, with the resources each state have. We have indulged our governors too much. In Jigawa State, go there. Go and look at the list of resources that is in Jigawa. So what's the governor saying? So the resources should remain there, and people should remain poor, and your people should remain porous. They should be attacking your people. There's no state in this country that can fend for itself. It is time the president start thinking, look at what is coming from the governor. You should know that this man is enjoying oil money. That's why he's talking like this. So anybody that is willing to become the governor of any state should start thinking of how to generate money to run that state. If you don't do that's what they'll be doing. So it is not an excuse.
But we know that most of the governors cannot control the resources of their states. We have the exclusive.
That's why there must be legislation. That's what we are talking to the president now. There must be legislation, and there's a bit of concession already by the Minister of Mineral Resources that you have a percentage that is coming to, but that is tokenism.
It's not enough. Yeah.
That's tokenism. I know that's tokenism. Even the 13% derivation to oil is tokenism. There must be a large chunk of resources of a state that should go to the state. In fact, they should be in control of it. They should be giving what is due to the federal government in terms of a percentage.
Goes back to the matter of federalism.
Yes. That's why I said one issue will keep dragging the other issue. Because state police is coming on board now. They are running away from it. But they don't want to accept that the reason why we are in this mess is the kind of structure we operate. The moment we put in place a proper structure in place, there will be smile on our face. The challenge we have is the conjunction in the mind of the North and the South about the structuring. The South, they are calling it Yoruba. It's not a Yoruba agenda. How can state police be a Yoruba agenda? How can South Korea be a Yoruba agenda? It's not Europe, it's a national agenda. And that's what creates fear in the mind of our northern brothers that are vicious northerners who knew very well that the moment there's a proper structure in place, they won't have access to state resources again. And they now use the excuse of another Yoruba man calling it a Yoruba agenda, that you see what you are saying, to convince the people. And it is the duty of the president to create a platform to educate all Nigerians that the way out of the mess you find ourselves is actually to restructure the country to genuine and proper federalism, where states will control their resources, design the security model you want. Any state that doesn't want, but just there are countries in the world who doesn't have a standing army. Haiti that is going through this crisis. The president was killed about 4 years ago. They don't have a standing army. They only have police. So if you don't want state police, that's fine. But you must have a way of defending yourself. You can't be calling president 36 times in a day that come and secure my state. How will he be productive? How will he be focused in doing the appropriate thing? Defend your state. It's your responsibility to defend. Borno, despite the challenges that Borno has, Borno is doing a lot of things. Lagos, with 25 million people in the small parcel of land, is working out a model. In fact, so what is the excuse that you, state from
this conversation will also bring up the matter of security votes that these state governors receive. If you look at the papers this morning, someone was saying that the federal government should look at putting an end to giving state governors this security votes matter, because there are no clear-cut details of how this money is. You
know what? That's what I'm saying, that one issue keep dragging another issue into the matter. Every state must design their financial model. Every state must design how to spend this money. The state security issue is designed by the federal government because it's the one giving the money. That this is how you are going to spend. But the moment states raise his own fund to run his own state, that's nobody's problem. Look at the Western region, the Northern region, and the Eastern region at that time. They work out to their own model, and things are going fine that time. The replica of region is the 36 state. The smaller version of it is the 36 state we have now. The thing we just need to do is to put small things in place, which is resource control, devolution of power, state police, and some issues like that. Then we'll begin to smile.
We are having a constitutional amendment, going on now. Some of these issues that you are talking about is not part of what would see amended.
The president is part of us, and I don't know why he thinks that that constitutional amendment can achieve something fundamental. I don't think I achieve anything fundamental.
Really?
Yes. Because, let me tell you, the actual stakeholders must be part of the process. And the stakeholders that I'm talking about are actually the indigenous people of Nigeria. You call the ministers, you call the House of Rep members, these are salary earners in Nigeria.
Are they not part of Nigeria?
Do
they not understand what is going on?
The indigenous people are actually the people who got the independence from the British, the Ijaw, the Shekiri, the Fulani, the Hausa. These are the genuine people that can determine the fate of Nigeria.
But these people are their representatives.
They are representing each ethnic group they come from. And look at, for instance, in the South now, you have how many senators there? About something senators. And we have about over 200 million ethnic groups. They must come together to decide what that region wants. That's what they will take to the constitutional review to negotiate what they want from Nigeria.
So in effect, are you saying that...
Not the less than 500 people that gathered to discuss it. Of course, there are so many conferences that will eventually lead to restructuring. Those are part of it. The CODESA in South Africa, there were so many attempts before we get a South African constitutional review that led to what is called CODESA today, that gave them what is South Africa today, that apportioned what the white people want in South Africa, apportioned what the black people want in South Africa. The winning position and his followers were of the view that all the white men should be run into the Atlantic Ocean. But the CODESA decided that they're part of their country already. So they gave them that. So the indigenous people of Nigeria are the people that can design the constitution. The president is aware of this. He knows this. But maybe he's just bringing it from the pocket small. So
but there's no time to be bringing it out.
That's why we say you should hasten it up. You need to hasten it up.
Is that to say that we should look at the 2014 confab report? Would that definitely address the issues that we currently are facing?
That's fundamentally part of it. And when you want to do, it's not in our constitution to talk about referendum, but something similar to it must be done to accept, not the current parliament. The people must accept what is missing in the current constitution. And if you take the decision before, on my behalf, no matter how beautiful that decision is, it may be difficult for me to agree with. But if for law was taken, no matter how rickety that decision is, it's binding all of us. Put all hands in it. Don't bring up a constitution where people will say that I'm not part of it again. Where the decision was taken by governors on our behalf. That was the accusation we have against the military. The military took a decision on our behalf. And that's the error of this review too.
So no matter the number of amendments, it will not bring us any closer to wherever we are going.
We have to include the indigenous people. We have to, the real stakeholders. How they work, the African people was not there. The Ijaw people were not there. The crisis in Ijaw land today, how do we resolve that? Is it by sitting down with people who don't understand the genesis of this problem? We need indigenous people that will decide that to live in Nigeria, this is the minimum and this is the maximum.
So how do they come about? Because not everyone will be there to, put one or two or say this is what we want and all of that. They still have to, produce or provide representatives, which they already have.
They are credible institutions and organizations across Nigeria now.
Are they not credible enough? Is that what you're saying?
No. I mean, indigenous organizations that are credible enough. Right. It's not about credibility. It's about ownership of the nation itself. The governors are credible, ministers are credible. We are talking about they go there by vote. They were not designed to go and review constitution. All of them. They are not designed to come up with a new Nigeria for us. It's Nigeria that can design a new Nigeria for themselves. And if you want to argue with me, let's look at the previous amendment. Where is it today? It's because this thing is missing. This is missing. What is missing is...
That's why we are still going back to it.
That's why we're still going back to it. So if you don't want to go back to it again, where people will say that we are not part of it.
Well, there is public, before a bill becomes a law, there is this, public hearing. There is this, bringing it to the public for them to...
For people to talk about what they want.
That's what is missing. That's what I'm saying. It's the people-driven process that will lead to it. Let the people-driven process start. The president can initiate it. He knows.
But that's what usually happens before an amendment is done.
No, are you talking about amendment?
Where people go back to their various zones and have a conversation with...
Yes. And that's what we are saying. This is not it. This one is gathering of us, some stakeholders to submit to the board. This is what the country wants. We will take a step forward and we're going to drag us 10 steps backward again. So we have to be careful. And this is not... We can't accept the excuse from the president that there's an error, I don't know. No, it's not going to be acceptable. It was part of PRONACO. Before now, the former ex-president of Nigeria, Buhari, nobody wants to see. But the moment it became part of PRONACO, we knew that this one has turned to genuine Democrats. That's Buhari when he became part of PRONACO. Oh, he understands the concept of a new Nigeria. That was what led to part of this why he's accepted in the South. Anywhere Buhari was before, we will always stage protests to go and meet him there. When he was in Badon, we staged protests to go and meet him in 2002 when he came to speak on behalf of the flying that were having issues in Oyo State. I staged a protest. When I was staged to go and meet him in Badon. Anywhere he is, I didn't shake hand when he came to Kwara as part of the delegation of Governor Alex. I didn't shake. But after he became a member of PRONACO, we saw a new look about Buhari. Oh, this man is a Democrat eventually.
Then you shook his hand. You shook him.
So eventually I shook his hand. So the whole issue about what we are talking about is that it has to be indigenous. And today, anywhere in the world, it is acceptable that it is indigenous people that must take a decision on behalf of any nation. It's a United Nations policy that has been recognized. In America, there's a special day for the indigenous people. Right. Everywhere in the world.